So we are here live in the WLJS studio here at Jacksonville State University, and I'm going to be showing you guys some easy radio do's and do nots while you are broadcasting on the air. Now, the language you use to speak kind of varies to each person, so you do want to make sure you're being yourself and using the vocabulary that you normally use. However, you want to make sure that you are holding yourself in some form of professional standard while also making sure that you don't say anything very provocative, any type of curse words or slang terms that have derogatory meanings, anything like that, because it not only looks bad on you, comes across bad to your audience, and makes your radio station look bad, but the FCC can also hit you with a fine. They will fine your radio station. And the last thing any person that's dealing with any type of broadcasting, the last thing they want to deal with is the FCC. So make sure that you use appropriate language for your show, but also appropriate language for the people listening. So the next thing you want to do while you're on the air is make sure you don't have any dead space. So if you're doing a music show where you're only playing songs, make sure that you have your songs correctly in order and that you don't have any stops where you are not aware of where those stops are going to happen. The last thing you want on the air is for there to just be complete silence. Now, if you're doing a show where you are talking, where there is an interviewee or a guest on your show, you want to try to fill those blank spaces as much as you can. If you are talking to a guest and the blank space or empty space is them trying to think, then you want to give them the luxury of being able to think, but make sure that there's not more than a second, second and a half, 2 seconds at the most of complete silence while on the air. If there is, you can simply restate the question. You can tell them your thought process while they're thinking, but just make sure that you cover up that dead space the best you can without seeming like you're talking over anyone or scrambling for your words. One thing that you want to make sure you avoid is saying the words like, or These show your audience or your guests that you're unsure of what you were about to say, and these will happen naturally every now and then, but you want to make sure that you do not keep tripping over these consistently in each sentence, because then it seems very unprofessional. It seems like you don't know what you're talking about. And again, it can make your guest very uncomfortable. So the next thing that you want to make sure you do when you are talking is that you talk at a speed that is slow enough that your audience or your guest can understand and process, but you want to make sure that you are talking fast enough that is not boring. So if you're talking at a speed that is similar to this and you're constantly talking and then there's very little breath between each word, you tend to trip up like I did on the word between. But if you talk way too slow to your audience or your guest, then it's very monotone, it's very monotonous, and it's just unengaging and uninteresting to listen to. So make sure that you have that breath ready, you know what you're about to say, and that you speak your words at a speed that are easy to listen to, easy to understand, and engaging to your audience or your guest. So another thing people don't think about when they're on the air is you probably have a lot that you want to say, and you might have a lot that you have to say. But you want to make sure that when you speak, it is your turn to speak, it is the right time to speak, and you want to make sure that you are not speaking over your guests or your music or any callers that might call into your radio show. So make sure that whenever you are talking, it is your turn to talk and that you are talking at the correct time in your show. So the first tip when being on the air during a radio broadcast is always be relaxed. And this can be one of the harder things to do while on the air because you hear yourself and you're also aware that whatever you say is going out in real time. It is being heard by hundreds, if not thousands, possibly millions of people, depending on what radio station you're broadcasting from. So the first tip is always just be relaxed and you will speak more clearly, more concisely, and it'll be a lot more enjoyable to the listener if you are relaxed in speaking rather than very uptight and very tight in your chest. Just take a deep breath all the way down to your stomach and just relax. So whenever you're about to go on the air, the first thing that you always want to make sure of is that you are prepared. Whether you have a guest on, whether you are doing a sports show, a music show, you want to make sure that you are always prepared. So I recommend having some sort of loose script so that if once you get on the air, you will not get lost in your words, fumble over words, and you will stay on topic a lot easier. With being prepared comes making sure you understand the equipment you are using. So I recommend before you get on the air, make sure you are comfortable with the board you are using, whether it's a mixing board or it's digital on the computer. Whatever you are using to go live on the air, make sure you are comfortable with it. So understanding your board, the main things you want to locate are where are the microphones and where is your going on the air button and going off the air button. Our board, it is labeled on air, auto, and then we have 3 microphones that each have their own channel. For ours, you want to make sure you turn off auto, turn on air, and then turn on whichever microphones you are using and adjust the faders appropriately. The next thing you want to make sure you do while you are on the air is have decent posture. Now, you want to have good posture, but you also want to be in a position that you are comfortable sitting in. So if you are uncomfortable sitting very up straight, you're going to talk very uptight more than you usually do, versus if you're used to sitting down and pushing back in your seat a little bit, being relaxed, you want to make sure that you sit however you are comfortable, but in a position that you are able to project your words and your air. So for instance, if you are slouching very poorly and your chest is kind of caved in, then your audio is going to be a lot worse than if you are sitting up straight with your shoulders back a little bit, making sure that you are breathing deep into your stomach and taking nice relaxed breaths, and also making sure you have enough air for each word that you are planning to say. Next is your microphone positioning. You want to make sure that your microphone is positioned correctly and at an appropriate distance away from you, but also an appropriate distance close enough to you. So if your microphone is way too far away from you, then it is going to sound like you are very far away from your microphone. And to your audience, that sounds like you are talking at a distance to them. But if it's way too close, then it is going to be very loud. Your audio levels are going to be clipping and it is not going to sound good. So make sure you have it an appropriate distance away from yourself. And also you want to angle the microphone to where you are talking past the microphone and to your audience. If it is directly in front of you, then you have more chances of plosions or anything that can clip your audio. So something else you want to make sure you do while you are on the air is let the audience know who you are. So once you start your show, make sure you identify yourself, identify the show that you are on, and then at the end of your show or your segment, make sure you tell people again who you are, who your guest is, what your show is, and then tell them where you can find it. So if you are broadcasting, for instance, every Monday from 3 to 4, at the end of your broadcast, make sure that you reiterate to your audience listening that you broadcast every Monday from 3 to 4 on whatever radio station you are broadcasting on and wherever they might be able to find and listen to your broadcast. And guys, one of the final tips to make sure you do while you are on the air is have fun. If you're not having fun or you are feeling like it's a job, do something to change up your routine. Do something to change everything up and make it feel a little fresher, a little newer. Have fun with it. If you're not having fun, I guarantee you, your audience can tell you're not having fun and they're not gonna have fun listening to you. So whatever is fun to you, make sure it's professional and it is appropriate, but make sure you have fun while you are on the air, because being on the air and broadcasting and getting to talk to people, play the songs you want to play, talk about what you want to talk about is so much fun. And that is why it is so important to make sure you be relaxed, you be yourself, and that you have fun while you're on the air, because this will really help engage your audience. The final tip while being on the air is be yourself. Now, this comes into play with the theme of the show you are doing, and also just how you structure your show and how you carry yourself during your show. So if you are very into sports and you are very knowledgeable on sports, I recommend doing a sports show. Or if you love music and you don't like talking, do a music show. Or if you enjoy interviewing people and you don't really like doing a music show or sports, then you can have a guest on each week and you can talk to them. But whatever the theme or topic of your show is, make sure that it is relevant to you, relevant to your audience, but also you are into it enough that you can have a very good back and forth discussion with your audience, with your interviewer, or also just choosing song choices that make sense for your audience to hear. And that's it, guys. Those are the do's and do nots while on the air for radio broadcasting. I hope this video was helpful. Thank you again to everyone at WLJS Studios for letting us come here today, letting us film this video. And guys, if you have any other questions, please watch this video again, comment, let me know, and I will be more than glad to help you.